I'm Shen from DEXON. Actually, I'm the VP of Engineering at Robinhood. And in Robinhood, we aim to shape the future. We aim to shape the future economy with blockchain technology. So now we have a zero trading fee exchange platform, and we also have an end-to-end ICO service if you're interested. But today, I'm here to talk about DEXON, which is a new blockchain that we're working on right now. Okay, so we've seen a lot of technical advancements over the last few decades. So I think you're very familiar with the websites. Back in the 1990s, there were a lot of websites coming out, and that totally changed the way the world is right now. So it's hard to imagine a world without Google or Amazon nowadays. And when Apple invented iPhone, and he brought us into a new era, which is the mobile app era. And so I believe everyone in the room now have a smartphone, which you use at least an hour every day to communicate with your colleagues or communicate with your friends. And now we're entering a new era, which is the blockchain era. And in this era, we have already seen a lot of interesting projects that in every category. We have decentralized file storage, we have decentralized computation, and we have decentralized gambling, decentralized betting. But there's a big problem in this picture. So, which is in every technical advancement, there are curves that for different stages of adoption, right? So right now we are at a very early stage of blockchain technology, but we can hardly move forward because there's a chasm. So some other guy in the morning mentioned CryptoKitty. So everyone here knows about CryptoKitty. Okay, cool. So for those who don't know, it's just a little game, and you can breed your little kitty on the blockchain. And it had a sign to get viral and to get into mainstream, to gain mass adoption, but it failed because there's a big problem in our current blockchain technology, which is the scalability and the transaction latency and the transaction fees. So as you know, CryptoKitty was built on top of Ethereum. And Ethereum can only support around 20 to 30 transactions per second, which is far from enough if you want to build a real-world application, right? So just take a payment network, for example. So if you want to become a successful payment network, you have to do at least what Visa does, which is about 2,000 transactions per second. That's at a low day. And at its peak, it can do 40,000, 60,000 transactions per second. And that is not, so our currently blockchain technologies are far from there. So that's why in Robinhood, we're working on a new blockchain called DEXON, which can support over 1 million transactions per second. And it's settled under 1 second, and the transaction fee is negligibly low. So how do we do that? It seems just too good to be true. So here's this video.
To solve this, the fundamental structure of existing blockchain technology needs to evolve. Introducing DEXON, a revolution beyond blockchain technology. DEXON is based on a revolutionary block lattice data structure that features multiple blockchain systems working together in parallel. The DEXON network scales easily and automatically. Transaction processing power magnifies as the DEXON block lattice network grows, while maintaining low transaction fees, empowering decentralized decentralized applications to unleash their true potential. DEXON's visionary technology is also designed with interchain protocols so that other blockchain systems, such as Bitcoin and Ethereum, can be incorporated into the DEXON network, allowing for the fully decentralized transfer of value between different networks. Efficient, low latency, and infinitely scalable. Let's kickstart the decentralized future with DEXON.
Okay. So that briefly introduces what DEXON does. And so, I'm not going to go into too much of the technical details today. So basically, why a blockchain cannot scale nowadays? Because the topology is just a chain. So you have all the computational power in the world, like Bitcoin, Ethereum. It consumes more power than Iceland. But in the end, the outcome is just the same as a single-threaded computer because each block is blocked by the previous block. So you have to wait until the previous block is generated, then you can work on the next block. So it's not scalable, right? But in our DEXON block lattice, which is a new topology that we introduced, we have multiple chains running at the same time. But we don't want 1,000 Ethereums or 1,000 Bitcoins. We want one powerful network. So we have to devise an algorithm for them to communicate with each other. So that's our major contribution. So how it works is basically like this. So each validator, which is a node that does the ledger keeping, each validator runs a separate blockchain. So it produces its own blocks, while at the same time, it observes other validators, the blocks produced by other validators. And once they verify that the blocks produced by other validators are valid, then it adds an verify message in its next block. So it means that I've seen your block and it looks good to me. So for a block to be, for a block to move on to the next stage, it has to gather 2/3 of the validators to approve of its block. So it can, so the first graph shows all the blocks proposed, and the second graph shows the blocks that have accumulated enough verifications. And then we run a total ordering algorithm to squash this block lattice into a single chain. So at this stage, it looks very similar to what Bitcoin and Ethereum produces. But this entire system incorporates parallelism, so it can be much more efficient than all the blockchains existing right now. And we do have a paper published on our website, so if you're interested, you can look it up on dexon.org. But just from a very high point of view. So these bars are the computational powers of the network. So for a system like Bitcoin and Ethereum, most of the energy goes into the red zone, which is wasted. They are used to compute useless hash. So all this energy are wasted, and only one lucky winner can be the one to guess the hash correctly for the to become the first winner. And only a small portion of the computational power actually goes into the ledger keeping. And in a system like IOTA, it can scale up because multiple nodes can do the validation, do the ledger keeping at the same time, but still it wastes a lot of energy on POW, which is the hashing function. And in a more recent system like POS, like EOS, the leader node proposes a block, and since it's determined by the stake it owns, not by the hashing power it possesses, it can reduce the computational cost wasted on the hash function. But still, only one validator, only one supernode can propose a block at any single time, and all the other blocks are just there to, verify. But in a DEXON network, every node can propose block at the same time, and while minimizing the communication cost across the network. So the green area you can see, it's like much larger, so it produces a better throughput. So the KSM is bridged by DEXON, and what's next? We are looking for partners to build the app on our blockchain. So I see a lot of interesting projects today, and actually you can consider moving your project onto DEXON. And also we are working, like it's a project inside Carbonhood. So Carbonhood is an exchange, and we are going to build a decentralized exchange upon DEXON, and also we have alliance with IDG, which it's not just financial, they'll also bring a lot of ICO projects onto our platform. So yeah, so thank you.